British garden soil types decide more than your watering can ever will. Two gardens, same street, same watering can, same hot week. One is thriving, the other is a swamp down at the roots and dust on the top. Same water, two completely different endings. It is not the gardener, it is the thing under their feet that nobody ever bothers to explain. I am Mikkel, a bus driver who gardens by timetable. Actually, here is the first thing to unlearn. Most of us treat soil as filler, just the brown stuff that props the plant up while we get on with the watering. That picture is wrong, and it is why so much of our watering goes nowhere. Soil is not a dead sponge, it is a living system. Pick up a single handful, and you are holding mineral grit, rotted organic matter, water, air, and a whole hidden crowd of living things. Roots, fungal threads, worms, and bacteria, all working away in the dark. So when you water, you are not really feeding the plant at all. You are topping up that system, and the system feeds the plant, which quietly changes the big question of this whole series. It is not how thirsty is my plant today, it is what kind of soil am I actually watering. Because a handful of heavy Belfast clay and a handful of light sandy loam behave like two different materials. Pour the same liter into each and it does two completely different things. Get that one idea and watering starts to make sense. Miss it and you are guessing forever. So let us think about soil the way it really works. Think of it as a reservoir. Not a bucket though. A bucket only holds water. Good soil has to do two opposite jobs at once. It has to hold on to water for the roots to drink later, and it has to let the spare water drain away so the roots can still breathe. Hold and drain. Those two jobs pull against each other, and how your soil settles that argument decides almost everything. The referee is something you cannot see. Pore space, the tiny gaps between the soil particles. Big gaps drain fast and let air in. Small gaps hold water by capillary action, the same way a dry sponge pulls water up out of a saucer. A healthy soil has a good mix of both. Too many big gaps and water shoots straight through before the roots get a drink. Too many small gaps and the soil stays waterlogged. The air is squeezed out and the roots effectively drown. Remember the plant back in episode 5 that wilted in soaking wet soil? That was the small gaps winning. So here is the line to hold on to. You are not watering a plant, you are watering a soil. And that soil is a reservoir you are slowly learning to read. Right, so how many kinds of soil are we dealing with? In Britain, gardeners meet roughly 6 main types, and knowing yours is worth more than any gadget I could ever sell you. First, clay. Tiny particles packed tight. It grips water and nutrients brilliantly, but it is slow to drain, sticky and heavy when wet, and it bakes hard in summer. Second, sand. Big particles, huge gaps. It drains in seconds and never waterlogs, but it dries out fast and the goodness washes straight through. Third, silt. Somewhere in between, soft and flowery, holds water well but caps over and compacts easily. Fourth, loam. This is the one everyone wants, a balanced mix of the first three, holding water yet still draining. If you have loam, you are allowed to feel quietly smug. Fifth, chalk. Pale, stony, and often shallow, it drains fast and runs alkaline, which some acid-loving plants simply cannot stand. And sixth, peat. Dark and spongy, it holds enormous amounts of water, though for the good of our wild bogs, most of us are moving away from digging it up. 6 soils, 6 completely different relationships with a watering can. Now let us put those 6 soils head to head, because this is the table I wish someone had shown me years ago. Line them up by one simple question. When you pour water in, does the soil hold it or hand it straight back? On the holding side, you have clay, silt, and peat. They cling onto water long after you have finished. Brilliant in a dry July, a nightmare in a wet winter, because they stay soggy and airless for weeks. On the draining side, you have sand and chalk. Water runs straight through them. Wonderful when it will not stop raining, but in a heat wave they are bone dry again by tea time. And sitting in the happy middle is loam, holding enough to drink and draining enough to breathe. Here is the honest bit though, there is no best soil in the abstract. The heavy clay that would rot lavender is exactly what a thirsty willow dreams of. The best soil is simply the one you understand, because once you know whether yours holds or drains, you finally know how to water it. And that really is the difference between those two gardens on the street. Not effort, not luck. One of them just knew what was under their feet. So which of the 6 is yours? You do not need a laboratory. You need about 5 minutes in your own hands. Test 1, the squeeze test. Take a small lump of moist soil and rub it between your fingers. If it goes smooth and shiny and rolls into a sausage, that is clay. If it feels gritty and falls apart, that is sand. Silt feels silky, like damp flour. Test 2. Watch the weather. Does your ground sit in puddles for days after rain, then crack open in summer? That is clay talking. Does it drain almost before the shower has stopped? That is sand or chalk. Test 3. Dig a small hole and look. Dark and crumbly is good and full of life. Pale, gray, or sour smelling means poor drainage and not enough air down there. Your soil is trying to tell you what it is every single day. Most of us just never stop to listen. And you are far from alone in finding your own soil hard work. This is one of the most relatable things a British gardener can possibly post about. Let me stand up for clay for a minute, because it gets a terrible press. Yes, it is heavy and cold and slow, but clay is quietly the richest soil on the whole list. Those tight little particles that make it such hard work are the very same particles that grip water and nutrients and refuse to let the rain wash them away. Gardeners stuck on pure sand would love that holding power. So clay is not bad soil. It is misunderstood soil. There is one rule with it that matters more than any other though. Never work it or walk on it when it is wet. Tread on soaking clay and you squeeze out what little air it has left, and it sets like a pot in a kiln. That is where half the misery comes from. Now, the moment most people meet clay, they reach for a bag of sand to loosen it up. Please put the bag down. That particular fix is one of the oldest myths in gardening, and it can quietly make the whole thing worse. But that is a proper story in its own right, and it is exactly where we are headed next time. So if there is one thing your soil map tells you, it is this. Different soils want watering in completely different ways. And most gardens are not even one single soil. A raised bed of sandy compost, a clay border, a row of pots, all fed off the one outdoor tap. That is the honest reason I run a 4-zone timer on mine. The Johgee unit gives each area its own schedule from that single tap, and a small radio hub indoors reaches it through my brick wall. Now, be honest with yourself. If your whole plot is one soil, or you just keep a few pots by the door, you do not need zones at all. A simple timer, or your own 2 hands, does the job fine. So here is where all of this finally pays off, right at the watering can. The same instruction can mean opposite things on different soil. Take the advice you hear absolutely everywhere. Water deeply and less often. On clay, that is perfect. It holds so much that one good long soak lasts for days, and watering little and often just keeps the surface wet and the roots lazy and shallow. But say that exact same line to someone on pure sand and you will cook their plants. Sand cannot hold a big soak. Most of it drains away before the roots can drink a drop. Sandy soil genuinely does want a bit, and often, topped up gently as it dries. Loam, lucky as ever, forgives you either way. So there is no single golden rule for how often to water. Anyone who hands you one without first asking about your soil is only guessing. First, you read the soil, then you choose the schedule. Never the other way round. Do that, and you stop fighting your garden and start working with it. That is the whole job, honestly. Learn what is under your feet and water that.